Keith, how short are we on the quorum?
We're too short.
Did you get me joining?
If that's
Yes, ma'am.
It is Becky.
Is that one, Keith?
No, I had Becky.
Oh, okay.
I still count 7. Dr. Grinstead, you might start the meeting and just not go through the action items until we have a quorum.
Okay. Okay, let's go on and call our meeting to order. Let's do our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America
America and to the republic
for which it
for which it stands, one nation,
stands,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks to everybody that is attending tonight. Executive Director's report.
Hey, everybody, good to see you. I've got a few things to go through. I do want to be respectful of your time. I know it's a busy time of year and it's 6:30 on a Thursday night, so I totally understand. Welcome to Brian Spencer. He is our new Carroll County board member. We're happy to have you and welcome. This is our virtual board meeting that we hold about every 3 months, quarterly, and we're happy to have you, so welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Student count. So as of today, actually, our current enrollment is Edgenuity currently has 575 students, Stride 421, Virtual Virginia roughly 73. Those are full-time enrollments for Virtual Virginia. I did a little bit more diving into Virtual Virginia enrollments. And so 73 full-time, but you have 779 plus enrollments. That means that divisions have a lot of students maybe doing Virtual Virginia supplementally for one course here or there. And so a lot more enrollments than students for Virtual Virginia, for a grand total of 1,069 students as of today. Where we are in terms of planning for next year, I sent a survey to divisions at the end of February regarding provider selection and some various questions related to next year's program. I have a response date for that as April 1st. I wanted to give them plenty of time to talk with their teams and work those out. So I've received, I think, 7 responses as of today, but they do still have 2 more weeks to get that into me. A few just general changes that will be implemented. I will have a single virtual learning contact, and I had that for most divisions anyway, but it was really helpful in those divisions that I had a single person to work with or to work through. And so I am asking that of all divisions next year. In-person training for all staff working with virtual kids. So whether that's guidance counselors, principals, my single virtual learning, I do want to provide a training for all of the people who may be working with virtual students. And then I put an option of registration through the website. So school divisions can refer them to the website for registration if they desire. They also can go in-house. Either one is fine. I just wanted to take as much off of them as possible if that was the option they wanted to use. Some provider specific updates. Stride sent out a re-registration to all students. It's part of their natural process, and they asked me if I wanted to stop it for their current students. I told them no, because I was curious what their numbers would be compared to the numbers that we see. And so I actually have some data that they shared. Let me pull that up really quickly. They don't have a deadline for this to be filled out by the parents, but currently 157 have re-registered, meaning they told Stride, we would like to re-register. 157 students. 270 haven't answered. So we still don't know about 270. And those students who marked they would be returning in person, they did not want to re-register, was 18 students. So as it stands, the majority have opted to re-register. But again, all of those re-registrations have to be approved by our local school divisions. So that's just something to note. That's going on in the background for Stride students. They also shared new course offerings. I've uploaded those to the website. So they did add a few CTE courses, actually per our request as Region 7. So that new course offering for grade 6 through 12 is online. The second, I guess the next portion of Stride, some specific to Stride conversation is I went ahead and got a list of how many students are currently using them by division, so that any division who didn't partner with them this year would be able to know the numbers of partnering next year. So for example, let me give just a random example. Pulaski County this year did not partner with Stride, but they had 9 students who learned with Stride. So if I'm going to reach out to every single division that has students learning, and if they want to recoup those students, I'm going to work with them on how to do that. And so I have that information. I'm going to speak directly after the April 1st deadline for my surveys. If they haven't marked that they want to recoup those students, I'm going to really work with them and say, hey, there's money on the table here if you want to get those students back. Well, there was some confusion this year about that. It was the understanding that we thought we got them already, but a contract had to be signed with them to get those students back. But you better believe that will be taken care of this coming school year, if the division wants to do that. One teacher with a pending license for them, licensure has been sent to the state, and we're waiting for that to come through. So that is provider-specific notes for Stride. Provider-specific notes for Edgenuity. Not a whole lot to report there. They are changing their course, making a few course changes based on CIP's audit of some curriculum. So they will be, they have notified me that they will be changing some courses. I will share, Matt, I will share the CIP pacing guides with them again so that we ensure that pacing is what we have listed. I actually have it on my to-do list to get with you tomorrow on that. 4 teachers with a pending license in the same situation. I'm hoping they will open that up and be able to get those licenses in, but we will see. Virtual Virginia, very specific to them. Enrollment opened for March 5th, on March 15th for the upcoming school year. The deadline is the same, so July 15th is the deadline for any students enrolling in Virtual Virginia. Their 22-23 calendar is online. Fees remain the same. They still have 6,000 free allotments. I would almost bet that those spots are already full, but I could be wrong. There's 2 new options. I'm not going to go through those new options with you. I'm going to send this in my director's report tomorrow. So all this information that I've touched on, I will share with you all tomorrow. And so it elaborates on the 2 new items for Virtual Virginia, as well as they have 26 new course options. Let's see. We have on the agenda to discuss some financial things tonight. And in the past, we've simply talked about those things. I will share my screen when that time comes to share some options that we've come up with, so that may move to an action item pending we have a quorum. But I do have some things to share in that regard, with contributions for this coming year, sustainability, and those sorts of conversations. The last thing I will say is on a personal note. I have probably, I guess now we're approaching a year, right, of being in this position. So I want to say thanks to all my divisions. I work with a lot of these people every day, and we have some really good people in Region 7. So I appreciate the opportunity. Anything else from me? I'm happy to answer. And does anybody have any questions regarding that report?
Yeah, Caitlin, the 400, the 400 that we declined, is that across all the, or is it more in one area?
When you say 400 that we declined, in reference to?
Right, we had 1,400. Now we're down to 1,069.
Yeah, so the 300 or plus students may be due to administratively withdrawing due to not meeting expectations. It may have been due that at the turn of the semester, those parents opted to return those students in person. It could be that they moved out of state, as if any student in an in-person environment would do. They moved to a new school. Could be to any number of causes, Dr. Grinstead.
I mean, is it more like, say, Smith County or Washington County?
Great question. No, it's across the board.
Yeah, it's across the board, yeah. That was basically what I didn't ask the question.
Yeah,
that's what
no, you're fine. It is literally, it could be any division on any given day. I feel like some days I work solely with this one, and then the next day I'm all across the board, so.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay, let's go to the fiscal agent report.
Thank you, Dr. Grinstead. I'm gonna defer a lot of this to Caitlin too, because and I'll help with anything I can when we talk about the financial sustainability, because we've worked a lot on that. But I would like to this is my fault. I should have added it to the agenda. I don't know if we'll be able to vote on it tonight. But we approve our budget in Radford City on Tuesday, or would like to approve our budget on Tuesday. And Caitlin is an employee of Radford City Schools, and we're looking at a 5.5% increase. So you all will need to, because she is an employee of this board, will need to approve us to give her pay raise as a Radford City. If we have enough folks a quorum to vote on that. That's all I have.
Okay,
And so I will touch on the financial reports that were sent in with the agenda items. There are two, I think it was February and March. Am I right? Somebody, I may need to pull that up. You'll notice that we currently have 29,000 as a remaining. We are lacking on that, a $35,000 payment from Stride that's been invoiced. And so that will get us through the end of the fiscal year. And then it's the conversation about sustainability. So Mr. Graham, if you don't care to make me a host and I can share my screen.
We already did.
Oh, look at you.
Hopefully.
Right. So tell me what you can see, because I can no longer see you guys.
Is there any chance that you could increase the size, Caitlin? By any chance?
Am I on the right page though?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good deal. Let's see. Is that better?
That's much better.
Proposed budget.
Okay, so this is kind of what we're looking at in terms of expenditures. I will tell you these numbers are estimates. They're based on last year's budget and they are highest. I aimed higher rather than lower. I wanted to have enough space. So roughly, we spent more on legal fees last year than we thought we would. I foresee that may decrease some but we'll still have the contracts from our two MOP providers that have to be reviewed and some of the other things. So I think we still will have some legal fees associated with the academy. Purchase service goes for the stipends of 4 folks on our team. And then administrative expenses, that number would be a lot less. We definitely haven't used that $8,000. And then of course, salary and benefits for the director. As we go down, there are 2 options that we have on the table. Prior to this meeting, we've had conversations to now, that's a lump sum. Every division pays the same amount, and that amount we've discussed has been $10,000 per division. If we do that, this is option 1. And so I don't want you to think about it as option 1 as a $10,000 entry. I want you to think about option 1 as everybody pays the same amount, regardless of the division size. That number that we land on is a topic of conversation. Option 2 is based on leveled financial commitments based on the size of your division. So greater than 5,000 students, ADM, you have a $10,000 payment. Between 2,500 and 4,999 students, you have a $9,000 commitment. 2,499 or less, you have an $8,000. Again, don't worry about the numbers, more so thinking about a tiered level of commitment. And this is kind of what we're looking at. You'll notice that there is a difference in the positive, in the net positive. And that's because right now we do have ESSER funds. Several of my divisions have said, we put that money away to help sustain the academy. We put $10,000 away in conversation. And so we want to utilize that funding while we have it in terms of a sustainability standpoint. But these are 2 options on the table. Again, the price point we can work on and discuss, but I'm open to discussion about the 2 options for budget sustainability. I guess that's where we start a conversation.
do you have any questions?
Do you mind, Caitlin, also covering what we've discussed with Edgenuity too?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay.
Edgenuity is not going to be able to pay any money to the academy for this fiscal year, indicating that they cut the price point so low at the beginning of their time that they did not have any remaining dollars to put towards the academy. For next year, they have shared a price increase of $150 for elementary, $150 for secondary, which would be something we discuss or we vote on as a board as a price increase. That's not much per student, but they have offered that number times ever how many students are enrolled does go back to the academy next year. So the 35,000 Edgenuity contribution is an estimate based on that information.
And
Does
that's,
that make their, I'm sorry,
I was just going to reiterate that would be paid in the fall too. That's what we negotiated.
Right.
so the non-payment this year, is that, not sure how to word this, so I'll just put it out there in the negative way. Is that in compliance with their contract for this year? I mean, not paying?
I'll take that one, Ms. Cox. It's probably on me because I took a gentleman's word for it, and we didn't have it in the contract, and so they kind of weaseled their way out of that. And this is their response in return to that, to I guess make good by their handshake instead of a written contract that we had.
But I will say to that this coming year, that will not be the case.
Thank you. I also have I guess not so much of a question, but conflicting opinions about these scenarios. I understand the need to tier because that's just fair. But I also recognize that we are in the process of still building this. And I think if we all want to be able to tap into the resources and assets as a whole, we all need to invest the same amount in the beginning until we reach a point where it is more sustainable. That's my personal opinion.
So let me try that one too, Ms. Hamilton. And this is what the steering committee had talked about to share with you all, but we also worked with Ms. Long, who's kind of the CEO for this board too, and $5,000 across the 17 divisions would help us be sustainable too. So, I mean, we could consider that as a third option as well.
So yeah, the first price point of the same dollar amount per division, I put 10 because prior to now, that's been the conversation. But we can go as low as, I mean, again, I think we've had conversations. We don't want to go too low that we undercut ourselves and don't have a sustainable piece, but we can go as low as 5 on that number and still meet what we need. So that the number is a matter of conversation up to the board. But the two proposed options are the tiered and a lump sum per division.
So are we saying 10,000 because right now we have those extra funds? And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to a degree. I think that we're saying 10,000 because up to this point, that's just the number we've used. And that was the number we paid this year to start the academy.
Yeah. My personal view is if we have the extra funds to do it up front, instead of the 5,000 while we can.
So just for us that didn't receive as many ESSER funds as maybe some of the others, I would agree with you, Ms. Hamilton, completely. We're also dealing with a renovation and addition project in Radford that's kind of gotten out of hand because of the pandemic and the war now too. So we are putting a lot of our ESSER funds into that facilities project, unfortunately. So for Radford at least, and I expressed this with the steering committee, 10,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money. For us, it would be difficult. And we can do it if that's what the board agrees to, because this is important. But 5,000 would be a little bit easier on us, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you for bringing that perspective to us.
Any other questions? Mr. Graham, I got a question.
This is Becky. I would like to see all of us be able to put in the $10,000 But I do understand, and I think Pulaski would probably be in that same boat, that we've committed funds to numerous projects. And I'm not sure if we have the 10 or the 5 left. But the 10 would definitely make it a stronger program going forward, and I would like to see the program to be strong. So I could go either way.
This is Philip Buttry from Blaine County. We really feel about the same way.
Any other questions or comments?
When do we need to make an executive decision here for this?
That's a good question. Once the invoice is received from Stride, we are good through, Mr. Graham, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm gonna say May.
That's
Am I
correct.
Through May. So we would not need to make, what even month is it? It's March. So by then we would need to make a decision so that we could invoice divisions the appropriate amount and get that money into the account.
Do we have, Keith, do you know if we have a quorum yet?
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to add. I think it's good discussion tonight. Maybe we can continue at our Region 7 Superintendent's meeting tomorrow, and to get a better idea from superintendents, how much each division has left to be able to tap into there. Because we only have 8. We did have one more join, but we don't have a quorum to take that vote tonight.
I have a question. Since we don't have a quorum, would we be legal to like issue an email and people vote on, say like, Caitlin's salary increase? Would we be legal to do that since we don't have a quorum tonight?
I think we could handle it multiple ways. We could do a vote over email and then ratify it at the next meeting where we have a quorum, or board members could grant superintendents the authority to make decisions such as that.
Okay. I mean, I would kind of like to, go that way. It's going to be some time before we'll probably meet again.
That would help us too. I appreciate you saying that, because that we need to factor that into our budget with Region 7 Virtual Academy too. So that would help before, we get too close to July 1.
Okay, so can we decide that tonight then?
So let me ask a point of clarification. Are we also saying that we are deferring to the superintendents to determine whether it's $5,000 or $10,000 that needs to be put in each system's budget?
Well, I don't know about deferring to, but I think that superintendents will have a better handle on how much money is left in their ESSER 2 or ESSER 3 funds. I at least know that's the case in Bristol. You guys may be more involved, but I doubt that the board members in Bristol know how much money's left, or if 5,000 or 10,000 would be more appropriate from that standpoint.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I
So is it-
agree, and I'm not really sure, like I said, whether we have that amount, but I'm concerned that we need to make that decision soon as systems so that we can get it into our budget. So I'm okay with superintendents discussing that.
Is that something, Keith, that we also, could we use those two things as like Dr. Grimes said, was talking about through an email and then ratify it at the next board meeting?
I think absolutely. I think we would probably want to do that. Go ahead and call a meeting before you needed to do that in May, just to, if for no other reason but to do that vote, and to prevent this from catching us at the, off guard in the future, maybe granting that authority to handle business that way, because it will be hard to get a quorum together with this many different board members, so many different activities going on.
Yeah, I agree because, you know, we need to be able to have an alternative, so. If it's everybody else's, meets the approval, then I think those two items, you know, 5.5% for Caitlin and then this other for the superintendents to proceed with that. What's everybody's opinion on that?
We're good with it in Russell. We can go either way. But I'm fine with the superintendents making the call on the 5 or 10,000.
Same for Washington County.
And I do just want to clarify, when we defer to, not defer, but when we leave it to superintendents to make this decision, it may not be 5 or 10,000, it may be the tiered approach and could be any number of amounts. So I just want to make sure that that clarification is noted, that it may be anywhere between 5 and 10, and it may be varied based on the size of the division, or it may be a lump sum as determined by those superintendents.
Well, and and what I was going to recommend to superintendents tomorrow is that we know it's at least going to be 5,000. So let's go ahead and approve that amount. If we need to adjust it upward in the future, we can do that.
Okay. Anyone else has an opinion?
I think you had something, didn't you?
I like the idea. I like the idea of having the email.
So, can we get that email out tomorrow then sometime during the daytime?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Our region superintendents meet in the morning. We'll talk about it and then get an email out tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, great. Okay, if there's no other further discussion, then let's go to future business items. Did you hear me?
Yes,
To my
sir.
To my
I don't
knowledge,
have-
the only future business item we have would be a final determination on the conversations we've had to this point. And then I will be able to report back on who divisions chose as their providers and some updates there after that April 1st deadline.
Okay. I'm on my cell phone and my signal comes and goes sometimes, so I didn't know if maybe you didn't hear me.
No, you're
Okay,
fine.
if there's no further business or discussions, I hear motions adjourned.
So moved.
I'll
Did you have a
second.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
All opposed? Well, thank each of you for attending tonight and look forward to those emails so we can help expedite this stuff all, along. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Everybody have a
everybody.
great
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.